You think you know the story of Israel and Palestine? Think again. The history of Israel and Palestine is a long, complicated one that has been filled with conflict, tragedy, and violence. But what most people don't know that the modern day conflict began as a result of an American oil company attempting to buy land from Palestinians. In this video, we will explore the history of Israel and Palestine from before 1948 to the present day, including how Israel took over the Palestinian land, how it created its own country, why 6 million people were forced out of their homes and others stay behind. In 1897, a Jew named Theodor Herzl founded Zionism. Zionists wanted to re-establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine. A massive number of Jews emigrated to ancient Holy Land and built settlements. Between 1882 and 1903, about 35,000 Jews relocated to Palestine. Another 40,000 settled in area between 1904 and 1914. Many Jews living in Europe and elsewhere, fearing persecution during the Nazi reign, founded refugee in Palestine and embraced Zionism. After the Holocaust in World War II, most historians estimated about 6 million Jews were killed in Europe during the Holocaust. Arabs and Palestine resisted the Zionist movement, and the tension between the two groups started to grow. The United Nations approved a plan of partitioning Palestine into Jewish and Arab states in 1947, but Arabs totally rejected it. In May 1948, Israel was officially declared an independent state with David Ben-Gurion, the head of the Jewish Agency, as the prime minister. While this historic event seemed to be the victory for the Jews, but it was not. It was the beginning of more violence with Arabs. Following the announcement of independent Israel, 5 Arab nations, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon, immediately invaded the region in what became known as 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Civil war broke out through all of the Israel, but a ceasefire agreement was reached in 1949. As a part of the temporary armistice agreement, the West Bank became the part of Jordan and the Gaza Strip became Egyptian territory. The reason why Muslim nations became allies after Israel's independence was mainly because of their opposition to the creation of a Jewish state and Palestine, which they consider is a violation of the rights and interests of the Arab and Muslim population living in there. They also saw Israel as a threat to the security and sovereignty, as well as a tool of Western imperialism in the region. Jerusalem is the holy city for Jews, Muslims, and Christians, and both Israel and Palestine claim it as their capital. Israel controls most of the city, including the old city where many religious sites are located, but Palestinians want East Jerusalem as their capital in future state. The international community does not recognize Israel's annexation of East Jerusalem in 1980s and consider it as occupied territory. The Palestinian wants to establish an independent state in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip with a minor land strips to accommodate some of the Jewish settlements built by Israel since 1967. Israel wants to keep some of the larger and strategic settlements which are considered illegal under international law and maintain a military presence in the Jordan Valley for a security reason. The settlement also affect the Palestinian freedom movement and access to the basic resources like water, food, health, and territorial contiguity. During the 1948 war that followed the creation of Israel, more than 700,000 Palestinians fled or expelled from their own home. They and their descendants, now numbering about 5 million, are recognized as refugees by the United Nations. The Palestinians demand that they be allowed to return to their ancestral land or be compensated for their loss. Israel rejects this demand, arguing that that would undermine its Jewish character and demographic balance. Both sides have suffered from violence and attacks by militant, extremist, and security forces. Israel says it has right to defend itself from rockets, suicide bombings, and other threats from groups like Hamas and Islamic Jihad, which do not recognize its rights to exist. The Palestinians say they have right to resist the occupation and operation by Israel, which imposes checkpoints, blockades, raids, arrests, and measure that violates the human rights. From October 2023 till the November 2023, Israel have killed 25,000 of Palestinian citizens, among which 50% of them are children. Every year, 15 May, Palestinians around the world mark the Nakba or catastrophe, referred to ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in 1948. The map shows the takeover of Israel or Palestine over the decade. At least 150,000 Palestinians remain in the newly created state of Israel and live under tightly controlled military occupation for almost 20 years before they were eventually granted Israeli citizenship. The human impact of Israel-Palestine war is devastating and tragic, resulting in tens of thousands of deaths, millions of injuries, and billions of destruction of homes and infrastructure. The war has also worsened the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, where more than 2 million Palestinians live under a blockade imposed by Israel and Egypt that severely restrict their access to the basic services and opportunities. The war has also traumatized millions of civilians who live under constant fear of rockets and airstrikes. The war has also disrupted the peace effort and increased the hostility and mistrust between Israel and Palestinians, making it harder to achieve a lasting and just solution to a conflict.
Number of weeks. Will you talk to Hamas? It's okay to talk to the murderous Netanyahu, who is celebrating while people are being slaughtered.
Ireland is one of the most vocal supporters of Palestine in Europe and has history of solidarity with Palestinian cause. Ireland was the first member of European country to recognize the Palestinian Liberation Organization in 1980 and became stalwart advocate for two-state solution, hosting a meeting with Yasser Arafat on several occasions. Ireland's support for Palestine is partly influenced by its own experience of colonialism, occupation, and resistance, as well as by its humanitarian and human rights values. The United States is a major ally of Israel and provides it with a significant military, economic, and diplomatic support. A month ago, USA President announced his $8 billion aid in sending them world's second largest warship to help Israel. The USA has often used its veto power in the United Nations Security Council to block resolutions that are critical of Israel or that call for sanctions against it. The USA also recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital and moved its embassy there in 2018, despite international opposition. The USA has diplomatic relationship with Palestine but does not recognize it as a sovereign state. The Israel-Palestine war is not only a war between two nations, but also a war between two narratives, two identities, and two visions of the future. It is a war that has been shaped by historical events, geopolitical interest, ideological belief. It is a war that has defied easy solution and simple explanation. It is a war that has tested the limit of human endurance, compassion, and justice. It is a war that has shown the need for dialogue, reconciliation, and coexistence. It is a war that has not ended yet, but can still end with hope.